Welcome back, Triple F Squad, to another episode of Two Fools in Fantasy Football. We're coming to you week 13 after a very unusual week of turnovers this last weekend of football. A lot of turnovers. Don't know where I'm going with that, but we'll see. So,
it was Thanksgiving where we all turned over a new leaf because it's that time of the year. And by turning a new leaf, I mean getting fat.
Right. It was the spirit of giving the ball to the other team. So, okay, we'll go with that. All right. So, everybody, we got our busts for all the games this week. First to note, our buys this week are going to be the Packers out of Green Bay, the Panthers, the Cleveland Brownies, and the Tennessee Titans. Those are your bye weeks there. So, a lot of fantasy players are going to be on bye weeks this week. A lot.
Very late in the season, too.
Very late in the season. Yeah, you're exactly right. So, but anyway, I'm going to start us off with our Thursday night matchup. Hopefully, my boys can bounce back from a disappointing loss. We got the Dallas Cowboys versus the New Orleans in New Orleans. So, we are boom this week. You're going to go with Mr. Callaway, the rookie wide receiver out of New Orleans. And our bust this week is going to be Tony Pollard. So the New Orleans front seven is very stingy. I don't think Zeke's going to play that much either. So don't look for the Cowboys to have a lot of rushing yards this week. Look for Dak to probably pass for 375, 400 yards against the New Orleans defense.
You think that much? You think that much?
I think so.
Okay. I don't. Okay. One of us is going to be right. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, we're either right or wrong. So, hey, just like every other expert, you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, going down to the sunny state of Florida.
It's a nice state.
New York Giants versus the Miami Dolphins. Our boom this week is going to be good old Myles Gaskin, running back for Miami against the crappy Giant defense. And going to be Mr. Whittle Waddle from Miami also. He's going to be our bust. And I'm going to do one more here. We're going to take you down to the great state of Texas, down to Houston, to the armpit of Texas. Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans. Both are booms and busts. Are both coming from the Colts. And if you can't already guess the boom, then you haven't been watching the show recently. We talk about Indianapolis.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
What?
I know who it is.
Yes, Mr. Greer.
I'm gonna. Can I get this one?
Yes.
It's America's favorite quarterback, Carson Wentz.
No. It is going to be our man, Mr. Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is going to feast this Sunday against the Houston defense, and Mr. Pascal will be your boss this week. Mr. Pascal. No receiving from Mr. Pascal. So. All right, now Tyler's going to take us to the old Motor City.
Boom, Motor City. Yeah, we're going to talk about a good old-fashioned interdivision clash with the Minnesota Vikings, who lost to my San Francisco 49ers this weekend. Oh, darn. Against the winless, the hapless Detroit Lions. This week, the boom is going to be Madison. And the bust this week will probably be Justin Jefferson. The reason why Justin Jefferson is going to be a little bit on the busty side this week is because Minnesota is going to run the ball all day, and they're probably not going to throw the ball very much whatsoever. So if you're a Justin Jefferson owner, just be cautious. Next game we're going to talk about is the Fighting Phillies of Philadelphia, the Eagles, who basically can't do anything whatsoever, against the other team. Yes, Marty, question, please, from the audience. Marty, go for it.
They're from where?
The Fighting Phillies from Philadelphia.
From where? You're pronouncing that incorrectly.
Why? How am I doing it wrong?
It's Shitadelphia.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about what they did last week when they laid a 0 just about.
That's right.
Wait. Speaking of Thanksgiving and the spirit of giving, I believe Jalen Hurts gave up not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions last week. I mean, that now, if there is a definition of a giver, it is Mr. Hurts.
Mr. Hurts, we're correct.
I mean, he was giving a lot last week and out. So not as much as one quarterback, though, but we'll get to him later. So, and the boom this week, though, even though he was in a giving mood last week, this week he is going to take it the points for your team. Jalen Hurts. Look for him to be the boom this week in the Philly and New York Giants football game. And the bust is going to be Mr. Atone, a wide receiver for the – oh, I'm sorry. I did that completely wrong. I picked the wrong guy on the wrong team. I apologize about that. We'll go with Marty. You want to take this away since I screwed up royally on this one? Sorry about that. That's my bad. I picked the wrong Giants team. It's okay though. He's gonna bust too, so don't play him either this week when the Giants play whoever they're gonna play.
For the Jets, it's going to be Mr. Wilson, the quarterback. I think that stingy Philly front seven is going to be on all games. So we'll do the booms and busts, both quarterbacks for both teams.
There you
go.
Boom,
bust, Mr. Wilson.
There you go. Well, we'll make it easy. So yeah, I just now realized that when I was talking about that I chose the wrong New York football team, but it really doesn't matter because I think they have a whole combined 5 wins together. So we're not really too worried about that market. The next game we're going to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Chicago Bears. This week, the boom is going to be James Conner. For those who aren't following Chicago a whole lot, which is pretty much most of the nation because they suck, they have a very, very weak defense against the run. James Conner has been rushing very well lately. He has been a surprise to me. I kind of wrote him off during this offseason before this year, so he has definitely proven me wrong, which I'm quite okay with because I'm wrong quite often. Ask Marty, he'll tell you. And the bust this week is going to be Mr. Mooney, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Look for Arizona to double him all game because, realistically, Chicago really has no other threats on the perimeter. Now, Marty is going to take it away, and he is going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers versus, in my opinion, one of the best teams that nobody talks about, the Cincinnati Bengals. Marty, take it away.
All right, thank you. Pardon me. Now we're talking about the Chargers and the Bengals. Our boom this week is going to be Mr. had the second most points in fantasy last week, Mr. Mixon. Mr. Joe Mixon, look him to run all over the place against the Chargers. Our bust is going to be his counterpoint on the other side of the team, Mr. Austin Eckler. So he will not have a good game this week. For Austin Eckler be our bust. On to the Bucks versus the Falcons in Atlanta in the ATL. Our boom this week is going to be an old man, resurgent comeback player. I would say comeback player because you don't really hear him that much. Mr. Patterson for the Atlanta Falcons. Mr. Do everything. Kick returns, punt returns, wide receiver, run the ball, whatever you need him to do. Mr. Cordell Patterson will be our boom this week, and our bust will be AB if he plays.
Yes.
He's been on everybody's bench since the sixth game of the season, hasn't played a lick since, but when he does play, he always gets you around 20 points. So
true. Yeah, just be careful with him because I just think it's really weird, his injury. Sorry, Amar, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but his injury is really, really weird. It's on his calf. It's like underneath a certain spot, under his heel in a certain spot where they really don't know how to fix it. So that's why he's been out because nobody really knows what the prognosis is. Nobody knows how to rehab it. Nobody knows. So it's just like a pain tolerance thing at this point. So, but even if he does play, he's probably going to be on a very low pitch count because honestly, they don't need him for this game. That's why he's going to be the boom if he does play.
I mean the bust.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the bust. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cordell Patterson's going to be the boom. Every time they're going to pass the ball, it's going to go to him. I mean, it's the only guy they got other than Pitts. If Pitts is still learning, honestly. So
true. So on to back to LA. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the LA Rams. The LA Rams came off a tough loss this week to the Packers. Stafford was in a giving mood as well.
He's been in a giving mood for 4 weeks.
More like 7 years. But anyway, I digress.
Oh my God, that poor guy.
Mr. number 10 for the Rams, Mr. Cooper Kupp. Look for him to have a field day versus the Jacksonville secondary. And our bust this week is going to be old James Robinson, running back for the Jacksonville, against that trying to rush against Aaron Donald and Von Miller, the rest of that front seven for the Rams.
Good luck.
Now we're going to the Washington football team versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Our boom this week is going to be Mr. Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver for the Raiders, and our bust is going to be Mr. Jacobs for the Raiders. A boom and a bust from the same team. I know it's kind of weird. Just trust us. All right. And I really hope the Raiders beat the Washington, because I need Washington, Philly, and the Giants to all lose. So
that's a Cowboy homer.
Next game we're going to talk about is interdivision again. Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers they're I don't want to say a joke, but they're almost a joke as of right now. Big Ben's last year, probably. They just need to move on from him. I think they move on from Tomlin, the coach. I just think they need to revamp the whole thing and start over.
Okay.
Our booms this week, our booms and bust, also coming from the same teams. We got Lamar Jackson. It's going to be our bust boom this week, and Mr. Marquise Brown is going to be the bust. Now, Tyler's going to end you with our last three matchups, heading up to the great Northwest, to the Emerald City.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. Yeah, so now the quarterback, the NFL player who was in the most traditional giving Thanksgiving mood last week was Mr. Lamar Jackson.
That's true.
He gave up 3 interceptions on back-to-back drives. I was watching that game, and there was literally, I'm not making this up, back-to-back turnovers. It was one of the most odd things I ever saw. And then on top of that, I forgot who it was, but one of the teams had 12 men on the field for a punt. The Ravens got it, went up there, got the two yards, and then they called a timeout, and then they still had 12 men on the field and got a 5-yard penalty, and they got the first down again on a 4th down. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how to describe it. If there's a dunce hat, if there is a dumb play of the week, year, that's almost as bad as the butt fumble by Mark Sanchez. I'm just saying that was really freaking bad. I don't understand any of that at all. That was just crazy.
Cleveland had too many men on the field.
Thank you, Cleveland. Yeah, that was just the weirdest freaking second quarter I've ever seen of all time. That was just weird. Yeah. Anyways, enough of the past. Now we're going to talk about the future. The San Francisco 49ers are going to play the Seattle Seahawks this week, and in Seattle, Seattle's going to bring that 12th man juice just like they always do. They're going to get jacked up. This week, unfortunately, the fans are going to go that far because their Seattle Seahawks are probably going to have a tough matchup this week, as we have Elijah Mitchell as the boom this week, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers. When this guy is healthy, he is an absolute beast. He is a 6th-round draft pick this year, and he is playing way above the 6th-round tag that he got, and look for him to keep on going against Seattle's defense. And the bust this week is going to be DK Metcalf. Me personally, I was so high on DK this year. I actually had him as a top receiver possibly. And what's going on is just absolutely head scratching to me. I have no idea why he's not producing, why they're not looking his way. It's just really a mystery, or unless he's hurt and he's not telling anybody, or they're trying to avoid him because he's injured. This whole season for DK has been a complete waste of a season, in my opinion, fantasy and real football. The next game we're going to talk about is another interdivision matchup. We have the Denver Broncos going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Look for this one to be a real good game, guys. I think this one's going to be really close. I think it's going to be a mid-scoring, maybe 20-16, somewhere in that ballpark, maybe 21-24. Look for the boom this week to be Jerry Jeudy. I expect him to take the top off Kansas City this week. They're going to need a deep threat to put the Chiefs back on their heels a little bit. Denver has a great 1-2 running back punch. Look for Jeudy to take the top off this week, and look for him to have a nice touchdown or two here for the Broncos. And the bust this week's going to be Tyreek Hill. Again, the Broncos have a very, very, very stingy pass defense. Look for Tyreek Hill to be blanketed. Look for him to have the 2 safeties over the top. Look for him to have some, but don't expect him to have a huge game this week. And the last game we're going to talk about is the Monday night game with the New England Patriots, and they are back with the Mac attack against the Buffalo Mafia. and the friggin' unstoppable offense. This is going to be a great matchup. We have New England, who has the 4th best defense in all of football, versus the Buffalo Bills, who have the #1 ranked defense in all of football. So look for this to be a really tight game, guys. But I think that the guy who's going to actually boom this game is going to be Stephon Diggs. You know, like they say, big-time players come up big-time games, and there's not a bigger game for either one of these teams this season than the Monday Night Clash for first place in the AFC. Look for the bust this week to be Kendrick Bourne. Last week he had, I believe, 2 touchdowns for the Patriots. He had a wonderful week. Look for him to be shut down by the Buffalo defense, even though they just lost their top cornerback for the rest of the year because of torn ACL. But look for Buffalo's defense to stifle those guys. They have a great front 7. They got a good back 4. So it's going to be a really tough tread for the Mac Attack and the New England Patriots this week. And like Marty said, he gave you the buys. Also, too, we're going to go real quick through the updated injury list. Dalvin Cook, if you haven't heard, he's out right now, separated shoulder. He's out at least 2 weeks. So Madison's going to get all the reps this week for the Minnesota Vikings. Look for him to absolutely eat, like we said earlier. Christian McCaffrey, Mr. Run CMC, is out for the rest of the season with an ankle injury. As I called him, McGlaskery, because he is a glass man now, and he literally cannot. I know it's not the best. Just go with it. Yeah, I know. It's not the best nickname, but he is now full of glass, and he's not staying healthy. Derrick Henry, there's no update on him and how he's coming back or proceeding yet, so just kind of keep your eyes on him. He might be projected to come back in the 2nd week of the fantasy football playoffs, so just keep your eye on that for updates. Also, Deebo Samuel is out 1 to 2 weeks. He did strain his groin. Darren Waller hurt his knee. He did not return for the game, but the prognosis is he's going to be playing this week. So it's very positive for Darren Waller. So that's awesome. DeAndre Swift, again, hurt his shoulder. He's probably going to be out this week. And then also what we talked about earlier, Ezekiel Elliott has a little bit of a knee contusion, a little knee injury. So his playing time will be limited this week if he does suit up at all. So those are the injury reports. That's all the updated for that one. So make sure you do your pickups wisely. Make sure you do your team wisely. Make sure you play the right guys, knowing that some of these guys may not give you all 4 quarters depending on how severely injured they are, or that they're not going to be playing at 100%.
That's true. And I was looking over the matchups this week. There's 7 interdivision games this week.
That's a big week.
That's a big week. So a lot of playoff implications too. So if these are some of your favorite teams, just watch for the last couple of weeks. Excuse me, we have a lot of interdivision games for the last couple of weeks of the season. So
yes. Also, one tidbit. There's one thing I want to say. Marty, this is so much fun doing with you, man. I have a blast, but that's not what I wanted to say. But this week, on a bye, if there's a guy named AJ Dillon on your waiver wire this week, and he's got a bye, pick his ass up. All right, I'm telling you, it's getting cold. I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry, but when you have a 6'1", 250-pound dude who runs up the middle and punishes people. And last week, I don't know if you saw the game, but he took on Darren. What was it? Oh my God, I'm drawing like the Rams tackle. 99.
Donald.
Thank you. When he took on Donald, he hit Donald straight up and actually pushed him back a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying. So if you need to pick up a waiver wire guy, or if you can get him in a trade before the trading deadline hits, grab AJ Dillon and thank me later when you're holding your fantasy championship over your head. That's it. That's it. When it gets cold outside, let the big boys play. That's all I'm going to say with that. He's going to be Rodgers' best friend since Rodgers needs toe surgery.
All right, guys. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your kids.
Tell your
everybody.
neighbors.
Tell your neighbors, yeah. If they're nice people, tell them. Even if they're not nice people, just tell them anyway.
Yeah, just or if you want to, like, if you have to do it, just send like a paper airplane to them. Yeah. Just let them know. Just let them know.
Right. Yeah.
It's fine. So it's all good.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we will see you on the next one.
Yes, thank you so much. So I am Tyler, the Uncool Fool. Please, everybody, thank you so much for your support. Much love to y'all, and I know we're getting better. It's just getting easier for us, so I hope we're giving you some great information. So until next time, thank you so much.